chat. And with that, now that we got our first super chat, we can get into our main event of the evening. Sponsored by Corn Nuts. Just kidding. I wish. I've been getting a bunch of emails from potential sponsors recently. I'm like, are these scammers? Should I answer these? Who the hell wants to sponsor a Marxist podcast? I'm hyped. Let's go. I'm hyped too. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. Let's get into it. Okay. First of all, we have, what's her name? Like Alice Cappelle or something? Is that this lady's name? Someone told me that Cappelle. Alice Cappelle. Yeah, I don't know if she's like a Marxist Leninist. She's like a fairly academic type. And she's French and talks about culture a lot, which are like usually red flags. But a lot of her videos are pretty good. They are, explicitly from a Marxist perspective. Here's Alice's channel. They're explicitly from a Marxist perspective, and they're pretty solid in comparison to the average YouTube analysis that you get, right? She's good at applying dialectical materialism. And even if she's not like a Marxist-Leninist in terms of her political organizing and stuff, or if she doesn't talk about ideology in those, more inner Marxist debates and just comments on culture and stuff like that, her commentary on those things are pretty good still. So we're going to put her in the... We'll put her in the A tier. Yeah. I haven't seen one of her videos yet that I've disliked. Maybe there's some video out there where she's like shitting all over China or something. You can let me know in the chat if that's a thing. But In Defense of Wokeism is one of her top videos. B tier. Yep, exactly. I knew there had to be like a video like that. Now that I think about it, I have seen that video. She's like, wokeism is just moving towards more tolerance and progress and ignores all of the, the ways. She doesn't ignore. She addresses like, Raytheon having pride flags at Pride and, using LGBTQ stuff or whatever to push imperialist neoliberal politics. I think she does address some of that, but either way. What do you think of waiting to see what you think of S for A? Yep. Stay tuned. Comrade Baddy. Comrade Baddy is that girl who got famous because she was doing one of those street interviews. Somebody was interviewing her when she was out clubbing or something. And they were like, they asked her same page or different book, and she's like, different book, probably. And he's like, what book? She said, Karl Marx. I love him. She's not super big into theory or anything. We gotta find the video. I'm sure I'll be able to find it here. Here it is. So this is Comrade Baddy, and she does TikTok videos now. She's cool. She's friends with Rathbone. Not like super in-depth or educational videos, but she does read. She actually does do educational videos now, breaking down theory, which is cool. Using her audience for good.
Same page or a different book?
Different book? Shit, we're on a different book, probably.
Which book?
Karl Marx.
Who's that? You read though?
A socialist. I love him.
Cool.
So that's Comrade Baddy. We'll put her at B too. She's cool. Brian Berletic. Brian Berletic of the New Atlas. Brian is a solid journalist. I recommend people watch the New Atlas. I don't believe he's a communist. He supports like what is it? I don't know, not Taiwan, Thailand. I don't know Thailand's politics enough, but I believe he supports the monarchy against like U.S. interventionism. And I'm not sure about his position on Thailand's domestic politics. I've heard some interesting criticisms of it. But other than that, his foreign policy analysis, his analysis of U.S. imperialism is really, really good. It is top notch. Brian rules. Absolutely, Jenny. I really like Brian. He provides super solid analysis. He's friends with Daniel Dumbril, another GOAT that we'll get to later in the list. Brian is one of those who, if you're in the audience today and you're new to learning about geopolitics and politics on a more thoughtful level, not like U.S. liberal comic book politics, the way it's taught in the education system and cable news, Brian is a great person to start with. So he's A. Brian is A. If he was a Marxist-Leninist, he'd be S. It's really good. Must follow Brian Berletic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Follow that man. Uh-oh. All right, now we're getting crazy. Bad Empanada. Bad Empanada is an ultra-leftist. He is completely unhinged and insane. I don't know if he would mind me saying that. He often gets himself banned for tweeting insane, adventuristic, violent stuff. And it's always directed towards like the ruling class, you know. But it's like just insanity, some of the stuff that he tweets, stuff that I can't even repeat here on YouTube. I don't want to get banned because of something he said. People, if you know, you know, though. If you've been following Bad Empanada long enough, you know. But his analysis is sometimes good, and he makes criticisms that are legitimate. Like he made this video about Hassan and how he has aspects of liberal Zionism in his analysis and in his politics. And I was like, all right, that video was pretty good. He actually made some legitimate critiques of Hassan there. So some of his videos are pretty good. His video about Che Guevara is actually really good. So that keeps him out of the D tier, but C for Bad Empanada, the Ultra. Danny Haiphong. Danny's a cool guy. I believe he is a Marxist-Leninist. He's part of the Friends of Socialist China group. He mostly does interviews, but he does some of my favorite interviews on the internet. Danny interviews really, really, really good people. He does Scott Ritter a lot. Alex and Alex from the Duran. Who else does he interview? He has tons of people on. George Galloway. There's Pepe Escobar was the one I'm thinking of. So he does good interviews, but not so much a creator himself as an interviewer. So we'll put him in B at the top, above Alice and Comrade Baddy. What is this guy's name again? The Maoist guy? Black Red Guard. Black Red Guard, who was once on Dr. Phil for allegedly blowing up his neighbor's swing set because they were racist, allegedly. This guy is insane. He does have some banger tweets sometimes. He has some tweets that are fire. He's in DSA now, I think, doing DSA Maoism. Every once in a while, he'll hit the mark with a tweet, but he is ultra left. Wrote a critique of Carlos's book, The Purity Fetish, that made me laugh more than it made me think. He's in DSA now. Yeah, dude is hilarious. He is. He's like the lol cow of Marxists, but also sometimes he retweet. Like I said, sometimes he'll tweet a banger and it'll go viral. Goofy tier, yeah, exactly. I don't even know where to put him. The D tier isn't reserved for people like Black Red Guard and Bad Empanada, who are crazy ultras, but at least they're honest, I think. They maybe just have schizophrenia or something. Okay, so that's what the C tier is. The D tier is reserved for people like this. The D tier is reserved for people like Owen Jones and Ash Sarkar, who claim to be Marxists, who claim to be communists. Ash Sarkar has that famous thing on Piers Morgan where she said, like, I'm literally a communist, you dumbass. But they're actually just neoliberals. They're actually just people who talk about Hamas like they're, you know, ISIS, who go along with the U.S. State Department line on Syria and Libya and every single foreign policy conflict that the U.S. and U.K. are involved in. These two, who are British, by the way, they run Novara Media. Or I don't know who runs it anymore, but that's how they got their start, or how I heard of them. Every single issue of imperialism and foreign policy, they end up on the side of the imperialists or pushing imperialist talking points and propaganda. Owen Jones was horrible on the issue of Syria. All he talked about was Assad, chemical gas, human rights abuses, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? Now Al-Qaeda's running Syria. Good job, Owen Jones. You saved the people of Syria by criticizing Assad and parroting U.S. State Department talking points. Just got an ad. Damn it. I thought I turned those off. Okay, I'm going to have to... I'm sorry about that. For now, just click on the ads 1,000 times so I make money. Just kidding. I don't know how to use Twitch as well, so I will figure out how to turn those off after this stream. I apologize. You're just going to have to maybe download AdBlock Plus for today. So yeah, Novara Media, D tier. The lol cows get to go in C. The actual nefarious bad faith actors with millions of followers pushing pseudo-Marxist imperialist politics, that's what gets you in D. Daniel Dumbril. Daniel Dumbril is A tier. Really cool guy, super nice guy. Me and Daniel have had many a conversation, and we've talked on stream before, I believe. Really, really cool guy. Lives in, at least he used to live in Shenzhen, China, where he was a bar owner. And he got into making content, debunking propaganda about Xinjiang. Or he used to do like travel content, like vlog content. But then when these U.S. narratives started that China was doing a genocide in Xinjiang, which is an area that he lived very close to and was familiar to, he started asking questions and asking more questions. And then his channel started blowing up and he continued asking questions. And he sat down with some of the lead people pushing the Uyghur genocide narrative and had interviews where he absolutely destroyed them and showed that they had no idea what they were talking about. He has a video in Tibet where he shows how the Dalai Lama and the religious elites in Tibet exploited the people and would gouge out their eyes and cut off their hands if they wouldn't do forced labor or produce enough surplus. So Daniel's a really cool guy, just like a normal guy, normal bartender hanging out in China who started making content one day and became a based legend. He doesn't post that much. Like, you can tell he's a very normal guy with a lot going on in his life outside of YouTube and internet politics, which is really why he's because it's not like this is his life. He's just kind of being a better journalist than anyone that we have in the US just for fun. But shout out to him. I love that guy. Good friend. ContraPoint. Remember what I said earlier about pseudo-leftists pushing imperialist politics? So everybody probably knows why I have my disagreements with ContraPoints and BreadTube and their pseudo-leftism. You can watch my other videos on it, read my other stuff on it if you want to know my all-encompassing critique of what was called BreadTube and people like ContraPoints, PhilosophyTube, Thought Slime, and others. However, the one that I want to focus on today, just for this video, is this idea that was pushed especially by ContraPoints and PhilosophyTube that there are crypto fascists all around us. That almost every working class person you meet is a secret fascist. And you have to watch out for secret code words that they use called dog whistles, or secret symbols that they use like the AOK sign that are actually were baked up in 4chan so that regular working class people can symbol to each other that they're extremists, right-wing extremists, right? And it created this, they were so popular on the left that this is what created the culture of everybody's a Nazi, right? How that's something that the left has been roundly mocked for over the last few years, calling every single person a Nazi. People like ContraPoints is where that came from, because they were telling everyone there's secret Nazis all around you, and you constantly have to be on the lookout for them and calling it out to the point where everyone's a Nazi. The communists are Nazis, the non-communists are Nazis, the liberals are Nazis, everything's Nazi. Because ContraPoints told me that they're hiding it, even if they don't understand that doing the AOK symbol is fascism. It is, and we need to call them out on it and call them fascists. That's the kind of attitude that it created on the left, and it was super harmful, super cancel culture-esque, and super unproductive. And of course, ContraPoints was more focused on culture war issues and stuff like that than class struggle. And she was hung out with Hillary Clinton, the queen of warmongers. And she and Philosophy Tube, I believe, were taking some like British State Department connected money. There's a Gray Zone article on that. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. So yeah, the queen of BreadTube goes in the D tier. Diego Roussarin. Diego is a Marxist creator in Mexico. He is fantastic. His debates are great. His videos are great. If you speak Spanish, you must subscribe to Diego. Even if you don't speak Spanish, you must subscribe to Diego. He's our first S tier. Shout out to Diego Roussarin. We'll save this one for the end. If you know, you know. Hakeem. Tough one, because Hakeem has had his beef with Haas. I agree with Haas's critiques of Hakeem, but I wish Hakeem would kind of put that aside and ally with us at the ACP and help us build. We could really use him, Second Thought, and Ugopnik, who are the largest self-described Marxist-Leninist creators out there. Most of Hakeem's videos I really like. There are small disagreements here and there, but overall, the basis of his theory is good. My main beef with Hakeem is that he's not directly involved with any kind of Marxist-Leninist party in America. And I know he's Iraqi. I don't know if he's involved with any Iraqi Marxist-Leninist parties, but most of his audience is American. And he's not telling his audience, join the ACP, join whatever. He does tell them to join organizations. But I feel like if you're truly a principled Marxist-Leninist creator, you have to be trying to funnel your audience into on-the-ground organizing. And that's where I see the deprogram guys as lacking. And guess what? I have this party called the American Communist Party that would happily work together with you and sit down for a conversation to work out our disagreements and figure some stuff out. But Hakeem has done a lot to educate new people about the basics of Marxism. So he's going an A behind these guys. I don't know. Maybe I'll put Hakeem in B. We'll put him in B. Because these guys are like friendly and have always been willing to help and talk and do stuff. And they weren't mad that we started a party that's actually doing stuff on the ground, whereas Hakeem was. So I changed my mind. He's B. And behind Danny. Fellow Traveler. Fellow Traveler's cool. He, I don't know how he feels about the ACP. He has some bad takes and some good takes. I don't know. We'll put him at the top of the C tier. Big Joel. This is a leftist guy who mostly does music reviews and commentary on cultural stuff. I don't hate him, but he's fairly liberal. C. Second Thought. Everything I said about Second Thought, or everything I said about Hakeem is true about JT of Second Thought. But I also think Hakeem has a longer history and a deeper understanding of Marxism-Leninism. And he's less afflicted with like liberal worldviews and liberal ideas, whereas, JT's video sometimes will like prioritize racial analysis above class analysis or things like that, where I feel like there's a little bit of liberalism. But that being said, he had a giant 1 million subscriber channel, and he chose to still become a Marxist-Leninist and start doing Marxist-Leninist educational content. So you have to respect that. I think he was doing some stuff with the CPUSA for a while. Hopefully he realized that what they call the CPUSA, the husk of that party that's still left, is just a bunch of feds hanging out with each other. But again, like there's this new party, Marxist-Leninist party in America that aligns with all of your stated ideals about putting the working class in power and nationalizing the banks and the industry and feeding everybody and building high-speed rail. And it's called the ACP, and you don't support it for reasons I don't understand. And you don't tell your audience to go into it, while collecting a lot of Patreon money, which is fine. Collect your Patreon money. Get rich as hell. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. But then tell your audience to join an actual party. And in America, there's only one if you're a Marxist-Leninist, which is what JT claims to be. So right there with his buddy Hakeem. Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski was who helped me become like a hardcore Bernie bro, social democrat before I started studying Marxism-Leninism. I think since he married Crystal Ball and married into a very wealthy family, he's really sold out, started rubbing elbows with more prominent liberal thinkers. And he still has a banger every once in a while, but his takes have gotten pretty bad as of late. He spends all day on Twitter complaining about Joe Rogan and stuff. So has a lot of really bad takes. I believe he told everybody to vote for Biden. He had this big rant about how the Democrats are way better than the Republicans. Kuglinski, you're going in the bottom of C tier. Right next to Black Redguard. How's that feel? Philosophy Tube. Everything I said about ContraPoints, retweet. Except Philosophy Tube was actually doing videos on the basics of Marxism and completely distorting them. And then when the Gray Zone released that piece about these guys being connected to British money, British State Department money or intelligence money, I was like, that makes so much sense. Because I mean, what would be more effective in disrupting the left than to have somebody doing Marxism for beginners, basics of Marxism, and then distorting it? So right from the beginning, right as people are starting to learn about politics and Marxism and class struggle, they're being put on a bad path towards obsession with identity politics and culture war issues rather than actual Marxist-Leninist class struggle and anti-imperialism. So yeah. And Hans-Georg Muller has a really good video on Philosophy Tube and about like gender issues and prophilicity and stuff that people should check out. Hassan Piker. Now, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. There are many, many people in my audience, especially on TikTok, who are former Hassan Piker fans or even still watch Hassan sometimes. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the Hassan to Midwestern Marx pipeline. Thank you, Hassan. You should just start telling your viewers to go straight to us instead of wasting time with you. But again, all the same problems as Hakeem and Second Thought. He's out here helping the Democrats. His stupidest tweet that I think he's ever had, and he's had a handful of dumb ones, and a handful of tweets that he's gotten unfairly attacked for. He gets unfairly attacked more than maybe anyone else. That is true. Shout out to Ethan Klein, you disgusting freak. But anyways, his most ridiculous tweet was like, it was something like, people say Hassan doesn't actually do anything with his audience. Well, look, I just interviewed Bernie and AOC. What do you mean I'm not doing anything? I just interviewed 2 corporate Democrat fake socialists. Like, Hassan, move on from these people. Who cares about the Democratic elite or the Democratic Socialist elite? Who cares about having them on your show? That's not what's most important, dude. We need class struggle now. This country desperately needs change. Stop hanging out with Bernie and AOC for clout. Embrace your destiny. The American Communist Party. I don't know where Hassan goes. Probably the top of C tier. I forgot to do an F tier again. I really, what I need is a D and an F tier to separate these. Some of these should be an F, and then like these guys, these 2 should be in D, and then these 3 should be an F, but whatever. Can I add another one? Whoops. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Shoot. B up, D down. Okay. Can I add another one here? I think we tried to do this last time. Oh well, doesn't matter that much. Luna Oi and Non-Compete. I could separate these 2. Non-Compete's like an anarchist, and I don't know that he's had the greatest effect on Luna Oi's politics, but Luna Oi is a Marxist-Leninist, has a bunch of good videos on Vietnam, mostly drawing from her personal experience. She's not like a Marxist-Leninist scholar or anything, but she was taught Marxism, Leninism in the Vietnamese education system, which gives her a base level of knowledge. And then she has videos like on the Vietnam War, talking about her mom's experience. Her mom had her schoolhouse bombed by the U.S. during the Vietnam War, and they talk about that experience, and she's able to put it through a very basic Marxist-Leninist framework for people to understand, which is actually a great tool for Westerners, right? To see just what a regular kind of woman's life is like, young woman's life is like in Vietnam, and hear her talk about it, and hear her talk about Marxism-Leninism from her perspective, which is a more civilian, not hyper academic perspective. So that's what I do like about Luna Oi. Her attacks on Infrared and Haas were completely uncalled for and incited a flame war that was unfortunate. I don't know why she did that. It seemed like she got pressured by leftists into doing that. Like I said, kind of just like a normal person, not like a terminally online, a leftist influencer type. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because of non-compete. I don't know, but we'll put them in. See, this is where we really need another tier. We'll put them at the top of C, ahead of Hassan. Carl Zah is cool. He's like a Chinophile. He was born in China. He talks about China. He understands China's history going way, 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 way back really, 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 really well. He has a podcast called the Silk and Steel podcast, I believe. Not like someone who's going to teach you Marxist-Leninist theory so much, but knows a lot about China and can debunk any myth about China and can give you his personal experience on China. So Carl Zah will go in the B with Danny up there at the front. Jimmy D, Jimmy Dore. I like Jimmy. Jimmy, I think, gives the perspective of a lot of anti-establishment working class Americans. But he's got a lot of really horrible takes. His takes about existing socialist countries are really bad. He'll often say, the U.S. is turning into North Korea. It's like, no, North Korea would have to kill 20% of our population to do that, like the U.S. did to them. Oh, no, that would be North Korea turning into the U.S., right? But either way, if we were going to be the same thing, they'd have to murder 20% of our population like we did to them. Who are the real crazy ones, Jimmy? But he's not like a theorist or an academic, of course. But he has a lot of base takes. He's not hyper woke, and he called all that stuff out. He got canceled by a lot of the shit libs for not being a shit lib, just talking like a working class guy. So shout out to Jimmy. We'll put him in C up there with Luna Oi and Hassan. Super chat from Marco. Thank you very much. Got double super chats coming in all of a sudden. Thank you all. Is there an ML analysis of the Ukraine war? Marxist creators say Russia imperial. Yes, we have one on our channel. It's one of our most well-viewed videos. Just search on YouTube, Midwestern Marxist analysis, Ukraine war. It'll come up. Thank you so much, Marco. Appreciate you and appreciate you for being a YouTube member. Michelle, thank you. 8 months. That's awesome, brother. Thank you for sticking with us for the last 8 months and helping to fund our institute and our work here. Appreciate you. Is Zoe B going to be on this tier list? I consider her my nemesis since she's an academic poet. I have a low opinion of academic poets. I do not know who Zoe B is, so she will not be on this list. But thank you for being a member, both Marco and Michelle. Appreciate you both a bunch. Do Dissidents. These guys are pretty cool. I recommend watching them. They've talked about Marxism, Leninism. They want to have us on, and we really, really do need to go on because they're smart guys and they want to learn more about Marxism, I believe. They want to have a conversation about it. So when it comes to their takes on like the news and stuff, I rarely disagree with them, like strongly, maybe on little nitpicky things, but they're pretty cool guys. I really like Russell B.